Hello, my name is Georgianne Ford with the Alpha Center for Divorce Mediation. And this week we have one of our attorney mediators returning, Debbie Schneider. And Debbie's going to talk to us about travel with children after divorce, which, Debbie, first thing that came up for me was what brought this topic to the top of mind for you?
Well, Georgianne, it's good to be with you today. Brought it to mind is that I have clients right now. One spouse is not a citizen of the United States and brought up that she wants to be able to travel back to her home country without any issues. So I was just thinking about this, and as summer approaches, the topic is going to come up because summer vacations are a subject for our clients. I mean, many families really like to go on vacation with their families and take their children on adventures in the summertime. And suddenly there's a divorce and, they have to stop and think about, well, how does this work now that we're not traveling together? So that's what brought it to mind.
Okay. So can you tell us, how does it work?
All right. So if two parties in Pennsylvania have joint legal custody of their children, and most of them do, most couples do, you have to be a pretty bad parent, frankly, to be denied legal custody of your children. So if you have a joint legal custody with your spouse, you do not need their express permission to take the child on vacation. But it's always a good idea to talk this out with your ex-spouse and address this issue before it comes up. So in our parenting mediations at the Alpha Center, we address this topic very specifically. So we often recommend that couples put in the parenting agreement that they will figure into their custody 2 weeks of vacation for each partner with the children each summer. And during that 2-week period, the non-custodial spouse does not have the right to custodial time with the children. And this topic occasionally comes up. So that's the first piece that you need to figure out, that during that time when your children are with your ex-spouse, you will not be seeing them. But I can't emphasize enough that communication is really how this works. So we recommend, as much as possible, planning ahead and bringing your ex-spouse into your planning. Talk to them, if possible, about what you want your summer plans to be, and reciprocate. So support your spouse, your ex-spouse, in their summer plans, and hope and expect that they will support you in your summer plans. Now, sometimes it's a really good idea, particularly if you're traveling out of the country, for parties to have a written document that's a child travel custody document. And these are available online. You can find ideal documents on many different websites. And what this does is allows you to present, if there is an issue that comes up at any time, you can present the express, desire of you and your ex-spouse for your children to be traveling with you. So even though your ex-spouse isn't with you, you have the right to be traveling with your children. It just is an extra measure of peace of mind in these circumstances. The last thing you want is to be in a foreign country and suddenly have some issue come up.
Right.
If you don't have the best of relationships with your ex-spouse, it might be a good opportunity when you're planning your summer vacation to try to forge a better relationship with them so that the issue is resolved before summer vacation issues come up.
So one of the things I just wanted to go back and ask you about was, it sounds like you could even make this as part of it. This can be part of an agreement, just starting out.
Yes, we make it an explicit part of our parenting agreements at the Alpha Center. We address this, and we certainly talk about traveling with the children when neither parent is present. So occasionally grandparents want to take the children away. Right. So what we tell our couples is that they need to agree in writing, and both parents' consent is required for any third party to travel with their children without either one of them. So that's always in our agreements. We also usually put in a provision that the parties are entitled to take a vacation without their children. Sometimes that issue comes up as well, right? So I need to be able to travel out of state, even out of the country for business, for pleasure, and my children won't be accompanying me. So during that period of time, your ex-spouse, the other party, needs to understand that they're solely responsible for the children, and you will not be available essentially during that time.
And is that put in writing somewhere?
It is. We put that in the parenting agreement as well. Occasionally, we have couples who have issues with preventing out-of-country travel specifically. So I've had that occur in a couple of occasions where one person doesn't want the other party to be able to take the children out of the country. So often what we do in that circumstance is put that explicitly in the agreement and address the care and custody of the passports.
I'm just wondering, the parenting agreement, is that something that just with a mediation process that Alpha offers?
Yes. For most couples with minor children in Pennsylvania, we highly recommend that parties have a parenting mediation. They sit down for a couple of hours with a family child therapist, and they look at physical custody, and they look at a lot of other issues, such as travel, such as what we've been discussing today, but also a lot of just general underpinnings about how to successfully co-parent your children going forward, not just right now, not just next week or next month, but how you will successfully co-parent down the road, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, because that really sets the stage for goodwill on the part of the parties, and it will help the children immensely.
I was just thinking how much the children are affected by that, just by communication if the two people are speaking. Right.
It's really important that they be able to communicate. And again, we really support communication and emphasize communication when we sit down with our couples in their parenting mediations. I mean, it's easy to say you need to communicate, but it really is important.
Right. And I think just up front, these are all things that are going to come up. It's kind of like you dot the I and cross the T's before we get
Exactly. It's so much better to talk about it, get it out on the table. Everybody, talks about what their expectations are. If you can build into the beginning of your parenting, agreement from the beginning that you will each have 2 weeks of custody of the children to take them on vacation in the summertime, you're setting a really wonderful precedent.
Right. So mommy or daddy knows where I am.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Everyone knows what's going to happen.
You know what I love, Debbie? You bring in all of your experience. Like you have heard, I'm sure, so much. We've never heard it all, but sometimes we're close to it. And you have certainly heard a lot.
I've heard a lot. Yes, Georgianne. Yeah.
Right. Which makes us definitely look at you as an expert of, what to cover. You know exactly what to cover on the front end so that I don't run into all the, and I think that's makes me trust, I guess.
And I think, our couples have come to appreciate the work that the parenting mediators do. They really address all of these subjects. And it's often things that the couples will comment, well, we never thought of that. We weren't thinking about that. And we're so glad we talked about it. So it is important.
And I'm guessing there's things covered that we will never know the value until long after we went through this process with everyone.
Right. Well, you hope that everyone, that we've been able to build in goodwill for everybody, and that will benefit, as I said, hopefully the children down the road.
Well, thank you for coming back and sharing with us just from the beginning of why this topic, because summer is coming up. And these are things, and maybe people listening today will rethink that communication piece to make it nicer.
I hope so. I hope so. It's really important.
Yeah. So any of you that want to contact Debbie, want to talk to anyone at the Alpha Center for Divorce Mediation, it's 1-800-310-9085. And thanks for joining us today. And Debbie, thanks for being our guest.